Junk. I'll be there shortly. Oh, no, that's not right. That's probably more along the lines of it. Alrighty. Let's get this one out of the way. This is a job that's due to be tomorrow. It's pretty sure this is 5th gen. We'll find out quickly enough. $18.93. Yeah, fairly sure that's 5th gen. A1893 iPad. 6th gen. 6th gen. My bad. That's okay. That's what I've got. 6th gen. Now this actually looks like it's been replaced before because the color of the button is different and it's recessed and pushed back. I wonder if I can get away without actually having to heat this up. I probably am going to have to heat it up. Yeah, maybe not. Where are you, little tools? God damn it. Oh, there they are, right at my feet. John Smith, what sort of hacker tools? Most of the time, if they're in good quality, good condition, I can't see why you shouldn't be able to sell them to other people. Unless, of course, it's their hot air stations, in which case that's no longer relevant. But things like the FX891, soldering stations and such, should be able to find plenty of buyers for that stuff. Come on. Come on. Yeah. Oh, what should you do with them? Well, like I said, depends on what you got. Which tools do you have? Yeah, I know there's a Wi-Fi antenna in there, but I'm going to go by the fact that this has been replaced prior to mean I can get away with murder like I just did. Yeah, we've got a free screw floating around in there. 8-Piper Cessna, I'm not sure why YouTube seems to be insisting on doing that to you. Probably too many thumbs ups. This is weird. It's funny, it's had the digitizer replaced, but maybe also the display because, I don't know, things just seem a bit clean inside. Yeah, usually the little plastic cover flaps up here, they're usually folded back or missing, or torn, that sort of thing. But these are in very good condition. Might have just been freakishly lucky. Nonetheless, I can tell that they did not clean the chassis before they put it back in. When they put the new screen on, they just sort of went along, probably removed the worst of it, the glass or something, and then just slapped down the new one, but they didn't clean the base of it. At least that comes out easy. It's always nice when that comes up easy. Hey, Jim Allen. Jim, if you want to change the screen on your 8, they're a single module. Shouldn't be a problem. They're they're not as easy as, say, the 10 series or later, but they're still pretty easy. I don't know if you actually asked me if they're easy or not. You don't have to transfer the True Tone. Most people don't even notice, but I obviously do it with my customers. Right. Blazing 3X queues. The FM203 is a dual station, yeah. It's a handy station. People do use it for hot tweezers. I don't. Like I said, for a while I did consider getting hot tweezers and thought it was going to be an essential part of my work, but in the end I really haven't found it to be the case. Like, I haven't got a strong need for it. If I want to do something hot tweezered, then I'll just use my existing 2 soldering iron tips. Okay, so we've got an impact point up here, and we've got an old impact point down here. This one's going to be the tricky one, because it really does cut across. This one not so much. Usually the replacement screens are slightly undersized, so that you can get away with that without having to pull out the corners. Jim, I think I'm missing your point. Yeah, this is a 6th gen iPad, by the way. Yeah, I'm just trying to... Yeah, we're just going to scrape the glue off now. Hi there, Yogesh. Okay. So some of the glue is new, but a lot of it is old. I've got a lot of stuff not coming up when I scrape it off. So what I'll have to do is I'll get the worst off, and then I'll have to go over with some 80-20 alcohol mix, and then scrape it all off again. It's a bit of a boring, slow part of fixing iPads, but I think it's important to do it. Really try and get that junk off as much as you can, because it makes the frame sit down so much better when they have got it clean. Yeah, there's a lot of non-adhesive crap built up in there. Now, why would he send you to Consumer Affairs? Maybe meant Apple? I don't know. Maybe it shouldn't have broken internally, is that what you're saying? Excuse me if my brain's a little bit fuzzy. By the way, the person I bought the 1932 chassis off that we saw last night, they got in contact with me today, and we sorted out the situation, so all's good now. It was an unfortunate situation of when you're dealing with second-hand broken goods, it can be a little bit difficult to describe the situation sometimes. Anyway, it's all sorted out, and that's what matters. Yeah, New York City chasing him out. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yep, I get it now. But he's going to Austin, so he'll be able to get himself a nice, hefty, concealed carry. Actually, you're allowed to have concealed carry in Austin? I don't know. I'm not really up with gun laws. Yeah, Miles, when you get those, I hate it when you don't see that shard until you have committed to dropping the new the new digitizer on. And then it's frustrating because you're like, how did I miss that? Where did it come from? Hey there, Gavin Brown and GD. Hey, Greg. So that side's come up nice. Hey there, Victor. How are things going over on your side? You still teaching? When you start getting those squeaky noises, that's when you know you're getting pretty close to being clean. I heard about 8-bit guy bringing a machine gun to Home Depot. I don't know what the point of that was or anything, but yeah, I did hear about it. I don't watch 8-bit guy, but I guess that probably indicates how far that news story got, is the fact that even I heard about it. It's like, was there a legitimate point for that, or was he just flaunting his toys? So I think that is one thing with owning guns, is that it's generally boring as hell owning guns unless you can do something with them. For me, it rates right up there with stamp collecting. I mean, don't get me wrong, I would like to be able to legally have one as well, but But as a hobby or anything like that, collecting them, it's not something that I personally. I just can't see the. What do you call it? I can't personally see the entertainment, the interest of it, other than if you're going down to the range every day and shooting them off or whatever. But in terms of actually having them for the sake of having them, just for whatever reason, it's not something that really interests me. I mean, I used to have them, but when the Australian laws changed, we had to basically surrender all our guns. And it was when I had them that I realised that it was like, God damn, this is boring as hell. So I've got this lethal weapon in a safe, and other than when I go down to the gun range to demonstrate how awful I am at shooting, there's not much I can do with it. Make my that's okay. I went to South Africa for that. Ben Wilson, it's New Zealand's sort of a bit like London, are they? Interestingly enough, you can have a compound bow with no license here in where I am. There's no restriction on owning bows and arrows. And those compound bows, if you get the steel tri-wing arrowheads or whatever they are, those things are lethal as. And the worst thing is they're effectively silent for the most part. So now I will be buying myself some manner of archery equipment. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to get, but yeah. Well, Miles, certainly, yeah. You're not gonna pull a compound out of your pocket, out of your holster, and fire off a few rounds before you get taken down by someone else. That is true. I won't disagree with that. But I mean, if you're going to go out of your way to cause strife, then yeah, you could do a fair bit of damage with them. Hey there, Jason. That's okay, Jason. That's no drama at all. So I wasn't. Yeah. Hope you didn't think I was pressuring you or anything. Just more curious. Mostly because any of the boards that I thought I had, I have actually since sold or gifted away to someone else. Because that whole series, the 1278, 1286, that sort of thing, I'm pretty much done with them. This is taking forever. Like I said, I'm dealing with old glue. I think I've got original Apple adhesive topped up with their own adhesive. The 1707, definitely I'm interested in. And, I would prefer to pay up front if that's okay by you. It's just easier on my mind to square the deal off now rather than 12 months later going, oh crikey, I forgot that I owe you for this and this and this. So yeah, easier for me to just transfer you some money and we'll go on from there. Hey there, Arilla. Greg, that's unfortunate that Paul S. isn't going to Texas. I mean, I think Paul S. is an extremely valuable member of the Rossman Group. That said, maybe I don't know, but maybe he can sort of be maybe he can pick up some of the business from the New York store when it sort of slows down or whatever. So you end up with half the staff going to Austin, the other half the staff remain in New York and start up a new business with the existing client base. Maybe they can even sort of still use Lewis's name for a little bit, simply to lead into whatever theirs is. Right, I'll do that, Jason. Yeah, that'll save shipping for both of us. Speaking of shipping, I finally got my... I gave up and, pardon me, spent the extra dollars and bought myself a proper 300 dpi 4-inch wide label printer compared to the 203 dpi one that I did previously buy, which is less than half that price. But that was just basically money wasted on the original one. With this Brother QL1100 that I bought, my goodness, as soon as you print it out, there's such a colossal improvement on quality compared to the other one. And the nice thing is I can just run it with a continuous tape roll, so it's like 30 meters of 4-inch wide tape for the labels, and the QL1100 has a built-in cutter. So when it's finished printing the label, it just goes zip, and there you go. You're all good. Hey, Travis. No PCHs here tonight, Travis. I'm going to start putting Travis in timeouts if he continues on with the lame PCH joke. It's like he's had enough turns of it now. He's got to let it go. He's got to let it go, and he's got to see if he can be socially responsible and connect with people without resorting to the joke. It should be a task he's up to. I think you're going to have to give up on the dead anything. Time to sit back and be a mature and responsible member of this community. See if you can live up to it. This is also why when people say to me, oh, there's another person that says they can do the iPad in an hour and a half for me, whereas I tell them overnight. And I say, well, you can go, get them to do it, whatever, but what we ended up with here is basically as a result of a 1 or 2 hour turnaround. You don't really get the time to do the job properly if you rush it. John Smith, yeah, this is somewhat like therapy. Somewhat. Not completely, but somewhat. Yeah, they do the iPad quicker and the screen falls out. I can see from the splotch patterns on the adhesive here. This does look like Tessa 2 tape, maybe. I can see from the splotch patterns that not a lot of it actually made contact with the frame. Hey Q's, you got the 810. Okay, that's the 2-inch wide version, isn't it? Yeah, I got the 1100, which is the 4-inch. I already have a pair of Dymo 450s, and they do really good for, like, they do all my job ticketing and stuff like that. One of the 450s will basically be retired at this point, because it was doing my address labels for customers. But I've changed to a slightly different system. I'm trying to be a good man to the courier services. God only knows why. They don't really reflect that back to me. But yeah, I'm trying to use their sticker systems. The main thing I've got to do at this point is work out how to get my software to export the appropriate file to send to this online site to generate the, what do you call it, the addressing label. Hey, John Smith, you've got the, this is the Aten ST862. Is that what you got? Okay, I'm just going to see what they've got here and scrape it off, basically. Have I ever met Olivia Newton-John? I really wish I had. But no, I have not. She doesn't really live in Australia anyway. I mean, we like to claim her as one of ours, but she's really more of a... she's not in Australia. She is, but she's not. She's... Most famous people... Australia, sort of for a while, has a bit of an insecurity issue, so we like to claim people from other countries that have any kind of Australian heritage as our own. It's not always the case. But yeah, I would love to have met Olivia Newton-John. She was probably my first crush that I can think of, when she was Sandy. My wife, of course, will mock me over that, but then again, her choice is Garrett Hedlund out of Aragon, so I don't think I've got anything to be worried about. Of course, she does tell me it's not Garrett Hedlund that she likes, it's Murtagh that she likes. And he is basically dead. Bo Derek from Blue Lagoon. Ooh, yeah, I remember that movie. That was a little much for me when I first saw it. Piper, funnily enough, I much preferred her before she did the whole permed hair transformation. That, yeah. By the way, before you all freak out, I know this is a black screen, so the only one I have available. The customer didn't care. They said, it's just for my kids' iPad. We just need the iPad up and running again, so go ahead with the black one. It'll all be good. Travis, it depends on how well you can say g'day. That's probably our true test. G'day, mate. How's it going? And how you say mate and how you use that word and understand how it's to be used. When it's insulting, when it's not, all that sort of stuff. Maybe then we might accept you. Probably not, though. Have you seen the films Frog Dreaming? I have not. Is that based on the Dreamtime indigenous story? Where the frog just sucks up all the water until the animals can make him laugh. Hey, Service PC Specialist. Why do they do this? Yeah, these are the highest grade ones that I can get. And fortunately, they do have the recess away on this plastic so that I can fold those flexes in. But here, it just doesn't make a lot of sense what they're doing. And I just realized I need the separator ring here. And I'm going to need the camera guide too. Such a schlep. Personally, I'm more of a Alicia Vitt type. Borderline dangerous redhead style, that's me. Which is why I was attracted to my wife so much. And she lived up to be everything I hoped. Hey there, Gabor. Apologies if I don't say your name right. Yeah, it's definitely frustrating when you pay for the most expensive replacement you can get and they still are less than ideal. This, whoops. I suspect this is slightly older stock though, because I noticed the new ones, they've definitely improved. So all I'm doing here, I'm just heating up to 150. It's enough to make the hot glue go soft without risking anything. Anna Torv, actress from Fringe. Is she the main character? The blonde? That's fine, I didn't realise she was Australian. I actually thought she was like European of some sort. The things you learn. I never got to fully watch Fringe. I think I got to I think it was the third season. The one that starts with Leonard throwing her back into her own world and she goes crashing through the front glass of the car. Carly and Danny. Not quite my cup of tea. Carly is very talented, but still not quite my cup of tea. Which is a good thing, yeah? It's a good thing that we're all not interested in the same people, otherwise that would be quite a disaster. Wait, you're talking about the series Fringe or a band called Fringe? Okay, something's really weird here. That is not sitting correctly. Not even remotely close to correct. Do not tell me... I have a I have a nasty feeling that this home button has actually lost its little divot thing. Yeah, it's lost its nipple. Ah, why didn't I see that? That is so unbelievably annoying because I now have to undo that bonding. That's very frustrating. It's like a very unappetizing cheese pool. Okay, so what's happened here, and this does happen a fair bit with these older ones now, is that there's normally a small black dimple, as it were, or nipple, that should sit there, and it strikes onto the round metal plate there. But without that dimple there, it's not going to do that, and it does sit low. Now the trouble here is that it is a considerable schlep to work on these home buttons. Yeah, you can see it's being knocked off. So it was glued there, and it's certainly not now. Alright, that's okay. What we do is we just get a replacement cover for it. I just got to go find one. Now, I should have a substantial stock of them somewhere. Unless, of course, I've been an idiot. Oh, great. Yep, that's most likely what's going to be happening here. Yeah, unless I've been an idiot and tossed out those things. At some point, I probably looked at all the old iPhone stock and decided I don't need any of this, and subsequently tossed it out. Oh, come on. There's a few other places I can get them anyway. Most of the iPhone buttons will have the same sort of setup that I need. It may not be a perfect match, but it's going to be good enough. Yeah, there should be a pair under there, I think. It's hard to say. Until you actually separate away that plate, you can't tell for sure what sort you got there. The iPhone 5 is actually notorious for having button collapses, but we'll see whether this one's going to suit our needs or not. Otherwise, I'll just go to a 4S or something like that. Come on, what you get? Nope, they're the wrong sort. Bugger. Just go check my stock boxes. Let's see, iPhone 4. No, not the charge flexes. It's crazy how much ancient crap that you end up with in your old boxes that you don't visit anymore. Oh yeah, I found what I'm after. Yeah, that's what I'm after. I used to have a reel of them, just of the buttons. It doesn't matter if they're not 100% the same. They're all pretty close. So all you do is you just slice off the old one, lift it up. There's actually two pieces in the configuration. It's like a opposing pair of symbols or domes, and you gotta try and get them both. Normally I'd get them off the knife blade here, but here we go. Okay, one of the bastards has tried to slide out. Not sure that's quite depressing correctly. Yep. Alright, it's going to need something to try and just hold it there a little bit better. I'm going to try infinitesimally small amount of super glue. And I do mean infinitesimally small. One thing that I loathe and detest is just how much super glue gets splurted all over the place on these things. Because the people aren't using microscopes or anything like that, so obviously I suppose it's only understandable that they can't see like just how much they're spreading everywhere. Let's hope my my flippin' super glue is turned to gel. See how we go. Okay, I do have to turn on the extractor. This stuff, the fumes this stuff gives off will cause me grief. So I've definitely got to have the extractor on. I get a slight, kind of like an allergic-ish reaction. What will happen is I will develop flu-like symptoms. And it basically just comes, in my case, it's from excessive exposure in the past. In this particular case, we're pretty lucky. I suppose the super glue had thickened up a little bit. It still will work. It's just that it was a slightly more viscous consistency, which is, like I said, advantageous in this case. Welding galvanized steel. What insanity drove you to do that? That pretty much can kill you. Right up there with, well, along with the chrome. Welding chrome. Still, I suppose if you've got the extraction, air extraction stuff, you should be okay for a while. David, typically that bottle that I use will last me about 2 years before I have to replace it. So, yeah, I don't have a suitable fridge in the workshop. cheaper for me to just replace it every 2 years in this case, rather than run the fridge. Yeah, I'm just removing the excess glue here. This is just hot glue. Is that cutting potassium with a water jet? Has anyone actually tried that? Wonder how long it lasted before that potassium decided it would tell everybody off. But I know some people have done things like welding chrome, and it doesn't end well for them. Now, hopefully I got that alignment about right. Guess we'll see. You could probably cut sodium with a water jet. Mind you, cutting sodium's trivial anyway. In fact, so is potassium, really. But sodium's certainly, it's, being so soft. But I'm thinking, if you're cutting sodium, more than likely there shouldn't be enough build-up of the hydrogen around it, because the cut would be happening so quickly. That's what I want to hear. Yep. This is obviously taking considerably longer than I consider to be acceptable. But, what you gonna do? YouTube, honestly. Yeah, I'd say sodium's able to be cut by water jet, but potassium may be a little more reactive. Certainly cesium would be impossible, or near impossible. Lithium should be no trouble. Okay, you're a bin job. Travis, I'm tempted to answer no, but to be truly Cobol, one needs to answer with something substantially longer than just no. The part that I truly detest. Oh, for goodness sake. At least if you do know COBOL, you've got a pretty much guaranteed job. No question about that. Very much in high demand still. Not bad for a supposedly dead language. Kind of effed up that a little bit, but hopefully it'll be okay. I don't get this. The cutaway they've got here for this backlight the sheet, it doesn't go as far as the actual fold over. So I'm just going to have to do the fold over and then peel it back off it. It's those sort of small things that make the difference between paying, you know, $20 or $40 for the same, what seems like the same device. But, you know, I will much sooner pay the $40 so that I don't have to F around with this sort of bullshit. Because it's a major schlep, because now I have to work my... Yeah, it's a pain in the backside. That's all I can say. Yep, see, pain in the backside. Pain in the backside. See you, Jason. Enjoy the Star Trek. Oh, that's rare. Normally it takes me forever to get those aligned. That's what I almost forgot to do. I really have found now that to prevent too many disasters, I've got to take this bottom adhesive off first. It's just... yeah. I actually should have done it before I even did anything else. Right. Yeah, Miles, I know in one of the previous videos from quite some time ago, I forgot to take it off until after I put it down. It made for good YouTube laugh. Okay, unfortunately I've got a couple of little sticky dots of dust. And it actually feels like they've been there a while. There you go. Away you go. Yeah, some specks of dust seem to get bonded onto the glass, and you kind of have to break them off. Well, for some people it was certainly a laugh. Traumatic laugh. You know, the sort of... I just realised there was that extra screw that we have no idea where it came from. Yeah. I'm just looking around now to see if I can find where it might have come from. But I actually cannot see anything that has a hole clearance, so... Oh wait, yeah, there, it's right there. Okay. So we're going to need a slightly smaller screwdriver. It's a bit of an interesting place to lose the screw. Oh yeah, that one was loose too. Interesting. Hey there, Wong Wei. Well, not really doing much on the way of board repairs, but we'll get to something after I've done this. I just need to get this out of the way so I can set it up to bond and then go from there. Okay, so now I'll peel off these other annoying bits. And yes, we will now peel off the interior. And hopefully those corners are not going to jam us up. Yeah. So even though that's dented in there, it actually still fits in. Damn, there's a bit of a kick up here, bend, so... So what's actually going to happen here is because of the way that's compressed, it's not going to actually sit properly even at the best of days. So you can hear it releasing. That's going to be a pain in the ass. And there's not really a lot I could do about that because it's effectively crushed in that metal and made it push out. So I can't even grind it down really. Yeah, that's going to be fun. I'll just fill it up with hot glue. That'll do it. I'll just tell the person they are definitely going to need a case for it to hold it in. Yeah, we'll see how we go. We'll see how we go. If we can get everything else to bite down, then it might not be so bad. It's a pain when you go through all that only to find that the chassis itself isn't flat anymore. I wasn't going to say sarin juice, but yeah, we all know what we mean. Yeah, if it lifts up, then what I'll have to do is I'll just take a thin slice of this, get it under there, heat it up, drop it down, and it will be the... Oh, God. I just realised what I forgot. You people are so useless. Someone forgot to put the display screws in. Fuck's sake. The button's fine. What a pain in the backside. Oh, crap on a cracker. They don't need to be in, no, but they probably should be in. Damn it. Yeah, that's upset me now. Yeah, it's not an air bubble. There's no air bubble in there. Unbelievable. Now, I'm going to have to put that on the heater to get that glue to come off. Yeah. When will I learn not to do flipping iPads on YouTube? Yeah, I might drop the Soren juice in though to fix up that. Oh, Steve, that's harsh. So harsh. I'm not old and demented, I'm just old. And it's not even old, it's more oldish. It's more like I got training wheels for being old. Still got at least, 16, 17 years before I'm technically old. Well, at least I've got this device. I know I've said it before, but if any of you do have this particular device, do yourself a favor, take the front assembly out and resolder all the connections. Otherwise, at some point, you will have it will stop regulating and it will basically just cook itself to death. Steve K, what's your age? Or are you too demented to be able to know? Bernard Cribbins, wasn't he one of the doctors? Wasn't it like the early doctor? Hey there, Micro Repairs. This is 6th gen, Michael. iPad 6th gen. Steve thinks he's 67. Oh, that's close enough. Alright, this is getting to the point where it's probably just starting to get warm enough for me to dig in and cry. I think the bit that I hate most about this process that I'm now partaking in is that it sullies up the perfectly good adhesive you did have. I try really hard to not touch the adhesive too much when I'm doing the separation process. Okay, I've got the corners done. Now let's try some hot air and see if we can get it to split on its own accord. No, do not rebond. Jeez, what is this? A bad 007 job? Okay. Yeah, I can see where it's buckled up. Damn, that's a pain in the backside. So yeah, I am going to put a silver of hot glue in there. Okay, maybe I'm going to need a little bit more than a silver of it. Sliver. I say silver when I mean sliver. And there's a bit of a funny... Actually, it's not funny, but... I didn't... For years, I never knew the difference between sliver and silver. Or I just kept reading sliver as silver. Where the frick did that hot glue sliver go? Damn it. Do it again. Oh, I saw that little piece of dust just land there. Yeah, where it threw me is as a kid I was reading a Donald Duck comic book, and in one of the episodes Huey, Louie and Dewey were trying to be entrepreneurial, and they were collecting up the old pieces of soap that they could then boil down and make new soap out of. And I remember in the writing they said they wanted to collect all the slivers of soap, but I read that as silvers of soap, and I just thought, okay, silver can have two meanings. It can be the metal or it can be a small portion. Clearly I was wrong. Yeah, Miles, I don't mind the other way where you have a white screen and a black button. That's actually not too bad. That's a pretty interesting, I enjoy the contrast. But this way is, yeah, it's traumatic to me as well. So I concur. But I guess this will be put into a case and the end, hopefully. So like my own phone. So yeah, that contrast I don't mind. That there, I find it to be an interesting variation. But that version is terrible. And to make it worse, it's on a rose gold backing. Alrighty. Crikey, that was a pain in the backside to do. Hey there, Patrick. Welcome back. I'm just making the usual screw-ups tonight. Wonder if this even works. Right, I understand the Dumras, yep. Because you thought you were looking at the you thought you were looking at the chassis from behind. I understand, yeah, through the panel. That makes sense. Yeah, well, it seems to work. Yep, touch is working. Good. And home button works. So they actually got two fixes in one there because the home button was jacked. And I doubt that would have gotten fixed in another place. Hey there, Shad. Let's stick this on charge. I'm really hoping that hot glue does the job. Oh, it's already 100% charged. Neat. Okay. Right, yeah. Time to get to an actual job now. Let's see. We've got a 1708, I think. So I do these iPhone and iPad repairs because, yeah, for the locals. I don't want to... I hate actually saying for the locals because it sounds like I'm being condescending. I guess I should just say I do them as local work because I know, we are stuck out in a bit of a distance from Townsville. So I do them even though I do already have a pretty full queue with everything else. Is it true what I heard about you, Lewis's new employer? Yes, that's very true. I control every aspect of Lewis's life. We're actually going to inhibit him now from having live streams because it puts at risk the YouTube income and the algorithm. Well, we don't need people complaining that Lewis is streaming while he's streaming. So yeah, stuff like that. Gonna have to start applying the thumb screws and get that fine young man under control. Yeah, this is no 16-incher. This is a good old 1708 according to the sticker, and I'm pretty sure it is. Yep, it's a 1708. So we've got, what is it? Port failure. So it may just be a case of replacing the USB-C ports on this. The 1708 does require a logic board. You have to do it. It's not like the subsequent models where it's a separate cable. This is actually built onto the logic board. Well, I forced him to pivot to cap views. Now, if only I knew what you meant by that. I'm a bit of a simpleton. Don't understand those terms. Funds for Lewis's angle monitor. I don't even want to think about what we're going to monitor. Okay, so this is 820, 840. No direct apparent signs of liquid damage, so that's interesting. Well, we'll get it disconnected, take the board out, have a looky-loo. Yeah, I really do not understand a lot of the market terms or anything like that. I'm very much a simpleton outside of my spectrum of... Well, hell, you know what? even with things like programming in C, I'm a simpleton. I'm a very simple person. Miles, you don't enjoy these. I actually don't really have a problem with the 1708 USB-C connector. It is funny that everybody has the preferences on these sort of things. You know, some people don't have a problem with it, other people loathe and detest it. Like, I don't have a problem with underfilled CD3217s or 15s, but I have issues with other chips. One-upping an L before an L pops into chat. I thought he was in... Oh, that was last night maybe he was in here. Wong Wei, I think if you're being a purist with C++, yeah, it's a pain. But the way I like to program is I'm predominantly a C programmer, but I will exploit and use some of the parts of C++ that I like. Some convenient things like vectors and some of the templates, other templates. But overall, I would never say I'm a C++ programmer. Hell, just the text output formatting, cout system and all that drives me insane. So yeah, I like to consider myself as a C++ified C programmer. Good old Borland. Borland C was great. Borland Pascal was a revelation. I remember the biggest thing I was happy about when we went from Turbo Pascal to Borland Pascal, I realized they were done by Borland, was that Borland Pascal got around the 64K segment limitation for your data. So instead of being stuck to trying to fit all your structures in 64K of RAM, you could now just go crazy and I mean, you could already do that in C, but for those of us still stumbling around in Pascal, it was something we desperately were wanting, and we finally got it. Turbo Vision was actually a really nice, for me, a really nice UI system, the text mode Turbo Vision. I love that system. It was great. I made a great deal of money from it. I haven't actually tried C#. I probably won't. Some languages I will try and learn, but I think I'm at the point now where I'm pretty happy with C, a bit of C++, PHP, shell scripting. Okay, what the hell has happened here? I don't know. Something's gone on with this board. It's been washed. It's always a bad start. It's weird. It looks like it's been washed, but the markers are not off. There is certainly liquidish. Oh, what the hell? There's all sorts of solder in there. It's like solder paste residue, maybe? It definitely looks like solder paste residue. Yeah, that looks like someone's been solder pasting stuff here. Yeah. Oh, is Anel leaving the group, is he? Interesting. Okay, they look like they're... This is where it's fun. When... Okay, there's a bit of corrosion junk going on there. It looks like something's happened here. Yeah. I'm going to check the rest of the board. It could be just that the CD3215s are damaged. But, I don't even know if it's a refurb. It's, to be honest, I'd consider it a little bit dirty for a refurb. Then again, depends on who's doing the refurb. Some people, put effort into trying to hide the fact that it's been refurbed and they make a nice swish clean looking board. Other people don't give two craps. Alright, let's see if my USB-C meter is alive. Oh, you are registering data. But you do not appear to be awake. Well, because everything's in prototyping stage, I still haven't quite, let's see. Okay, we're back online. Five volts, 20. We're getting to 20 volts there. But the current is wrong. Notice how the current's only sitting there, it's at 20 milliamps. And it's staying pretty damn constant. Again. Alright. I am wondering whether the ports have failed or whether it's something else entirely. Because it doesn't really feel like a port failure, so I'm going to check PP bus, because often on these models we do get a short along here. That's not a short yet, that's actually just... It's going to come up, yeah, there it goes. Easy way to get caught out by that. With high spec meters, they don't use a lot of power to do testing of resistances, so it can actually take quite a while for the network to stabilize. And during that period, you're thinking, I've got a short, but you don't really. Hello, what is it? Alunglak 2. That's really quite tricky to pronounce in a hurry. No, this is definitely not a place to learn anything other than how not to do board repair, probably. It's really more a case of I am just going around trying to fix up what I can on these machines. And if anybody should happen to learn anything from it, that's fantastic. Otherwise, no. If I had to take a guess here, I'd kind of wonder if in fact the ISL has taken a hike. Looks like they've also replaced the Thunderbolt ROM there. So yeah, a Hail Mary guess for me would be maybe the 9239 is kaput. We can see there's a bit of... Yeah, there's actually some liquid junk down in there, actually. Or is it flux? There's something down there. We'll get the Grim Reaper out. Christian, I haven't done much with it, but I'm doing around about 10 samples per second at the moment, somewhere between 5 and 10. It's entirely up to my software, how quickly it bothers to read things. I had contemplated making it a on-demand system, so I would make the software request the meter to then report back to me what the values were, but that meant routing another signal line and doing a bit more work on the software side on the microcontroller on the USB-C meter. And so I just sort of said, stuff it, I'm just going to pump it out as fast as I can. Well, I shouldn't say as fast as I can, but at a reasonable speed from the AVR blindly, and let the program on the other end do whatever the hell it wants. Hey there, Yanzimi. Yeah, third kid's thankfully a little bit sleepy tonight. Thank goodness for that. I'm sort of looking around a little bit more to see if maybe I can spot something else. Like I said, the ISL is high on my list, but I do want to give another look to see if maybe there's a chance it was something else. Geez, I hope it wasn't the SMC. I really cannot work out what has been genuinely reworked here versus what is just being covered in, I don't know. I don't know how they washed this, but they just gave it a great big dip into some alcohol or not. Okay, that's a laser etched resistor, so it's not actually a burnt resistor. Yeah, they're just laser etched. One thing I've still not worked out is why when you get corrosion on this chip here, it kills the machine. I don't understand it yet. Judging by the looks of this residue that's been left behind, this board has been reworked with a lot of flux, and then they scrubbed it down with alcohol. They used a fair bit of alcohol, I would say, but it has been scrubbed with alcohol as opposed to going into ultrasonic. And this is what happens when you do that. You get this residue hanging around, and it's kind of like a weird amalgamation of flux and alcohol. See, it didn't get washed out properly, whereas if you go through a nice, decent, warm ultrasonic, it should be okay. It kind of makes me wonder whether, in fact, I should ultrasonic this. Yeah, maybe... maybe it's just a case of there's flux and junk under the CPU or something, inhibiting it. Okay, they look like they've been replaced. See how they've got extra solder on them? It does make me think they've been replaced at that point there. A bit of heat has been around here. You can see the golden tones on that capacitor. I can't stand using IPA. Yeah, IPA is pretty much banned from this workshop. Aside from the fact that it stinks to high hell, there's the less pleasant aspect of the fact that it eats plastic. Usually where you're not expecting. It can't be this because we are getting 20 volts. I think what I'll do is I'll actually heat this board up. Actually, first I'll check the resistances on those inductors. Two, three, should be about the same on all of them. Yep. Okay. 5, 5, 8, 92. Bring up the board view and the schematic and actually have a look. I wish it was the Pi USB 323224 or whatever it is, but it's not likely to be in this case. Because we are getting 20 volts, whereas usually when that thing dies, you don't get the 20 volts. Okay, why hasn't anybody left values here? Board, preferences, download the data. What? Ah, that's much better. 1290 values now. Somebody's been busy. There we go. Now we've got... yeah, so 2.4 ohms, that's about what we had. 5.8, we had about that. Yep. 9, yep. 45, yeah, so all the resistances for the CPU are fine. Well, let's see if we can get a heartbeat under thermal camera. I mean, better that I do this before I start soldering anything. You might not get anything, but it's worth checking. Like I said, easier to check before you do desoldering of anything. We may get a heartbeat poking up. Well, Miles, it's not the 20 milliamps that I'm looking for. It's the hidden spike that may occur that I'm looking for. So I'm just looking around to see if anything periodically pops up. It's not always easy to spot. If there is one, there may not be one. Okay, the alignment's completely jacked. Okay, the alignment's better now. And it won't necessarily be a hot cross. It'll be more just like some kind of area that routinely changes color slightly. Okay, so you can see we do have, okay, this is the temperature, human body temperature there. And you can see we do have some warmth here. And so even though it's only 20 milliamps overall, it's still detectable. But that's not quite what we're looking for. We're looking for something else. I mean, looking at the meter, I'm not seeing any dots jumping up here. So it probably doesn't have a heartbeat. But I was just curious to see if it did. Let's plug into the other port. Where's it? New 1900 pin 2. I'll check that in a bit. There does seem to be some sort of warmth developing over here. Of course, now that I've stuck my finger on it, of course there's going to be warmth. Alright. Okay, so well, nothing that we can directly spot there, but at least we can see that we do have some kind of warmth there. Is it? It's interesting, we've actually gone down to 12. Okay, we're back up now. It's cycling. Oh, we're down to 5. Okay, this is interesting. And it's cycling all over the place now. It could be just a dodgy cable in my opinion. Yep, dodgy cable. Alright, enough of the thermal camera. Freeze spray is pretty much useless in this region. You basically have to empty the entire can of contents onto the board before you get anywhere, and it only lasts you about 3 seconds. Travis, that's it. Travis is actually... There we go. Travis is learning his lesson now. Okay, what we're looking for? U1900. Interesting chip. That's a clock generator. Alrighty. 900 pin to... What's that? PCH clock. 24 megahertz. 14990. Let's plug it in and have a look. Oh wait, you want resistance on that pin. My bad, sorry. I gotta find pin 2. Okay, there's a test point for that, thankfully. That's this test point here. What do we got? 127 ohms. That actually seems a little bit low for a clock output line. Mind you, the data there says it should be 46. Interesting. Interesting that it's so low. Arnold, unfortunately, it's a bit too tricky to do that the best of times. L2990. And that's the inductor up by the... Now, according to this 0.36 diode mode, so we'll check the resistance first. 423, that kind of feels like 0.36. Mind you, actually more like 0.2. No, we're smack on. We're all good there. Alright, so it doesn't appear to be a clock generator. At least not by that value. No, I do really actually genuinely wonder if this just needs a clean, because apparently it was working, then one port failed, and then the other port failed. So yeah, I'm wondering if it's not just needing an ultrasonic clean to clear away all this flux junk. Because the ports seem to be fine. And the worst thing is, you don't get to see that happen, whether it gets fixed or not. I will report back though. U1900 pin 2. Did do you find it drops perilously low, or does it go very high if it's in failure mode? I gotta admit, I wasn't expecting it to be that low, but the fact that the open board data says it is that low means, okay, it must be within spec. But what do you find is a typical indication of a failure mode? And then I can actually add that in. Schematics. Like if I... Where is it? Half aims is CPU bye-bye. Oh, okay. Alright then. Oops, go back to the schematic. We're going to add that in for you. So it's that pin there. And we get... What do we say? If less than 5 ohms, CPU dead. Something like that. Add likely. Okay, CPU likely dead. There we go. Okay, and we'll submit that to the open board data server. That should be done. We can actually go check that now. So is this 840? What was that? Sus RS 0. Goes there. Not sure. Not sure why the data's not up there yet. Should have been submitted, unless I haven't got a active key. That'd be about right. I have to debug my own software. But it's showing up locally, so that's a start. Oh, wait a second, board preferences. That's the 840. Eh. Yeah, that's kind of weird. Don't know why I didn't preserve that. If under 5 ohms, likely CPU failure. Funnily enough, you say about pirating my own software, it is quite true, I do. There we go. There. I just didn't have it synchronized. So that's it. We added that entry to open board data. So for anyone else ever out there, they too now can. So this board is actually surprisingly populated of data. All the green dots represent data points that have been submitted. A lot of them are duplicates, but at least it just lets you know that there's not that many points on this board that have not been documented now. Most of them, in fact, are ground. Let's have a look at the stats for that. Let's back to the boards. Let's see, 840. Yeah, 1400 entries. Interestingly, we don't have any solutions or guides for them, but I'm working on that. I think the only thing, the 165 is probably the most. Let's see, 1420. Oh, 239's got more. 928's got heaps. Wow. So is the 3332. That's, I suppose, to be expected. 1800 for the 30. Who the hell did the 3787? That's crazy. That is a lot of entries. Well, got to thank all these people who gave stuff to OpenBoard Data. Nice. Miles, the only reason why the under CPU ones show up is because they're exposed elsewhere. That's all that is. It's like, no matter, yeah. So any single one of these must appear somewhere else on the board. Yeah, so it shows up here. What I have been doing is I found that going by the test points is actually a far more effective way of getting useful data in there. And it's just easier to test with test points. There are going to be a few things where you have to start jamming the pins, the probes against the actual chips or the resistors. But more than anything, I like working from the test points. Yeah. Yeah, Miles, I'd say it's not all of them that are populated, but there's going to be a few under there that haven't been touched. Yeah, you can see here, like, these ones here, they haven't got any data on them. They're all just the memory ones. Most of the time, people leave those off because it doesn't really matter. But yeah, anything that's green under the CPU is because it's been done externally. I don't think anybody's taken the CPU off. And as an additional thing, if you took the CPU off, you wouldn't get the right reading anymore anyway. So, hey Kodak. I don't know why I call you Kodak. KDO, CAC, I suppose. Close enough. Arnold, I do agree, we need to do that. I also need to get the multimeters and all the test gear out. Yeah. It's just a pain that I keep letting that slip. It's very embarrassing, as I said the other night. But it's a good project. It is actually a project that Futo group had sponsored quite a while ago. And yeah, I haven't quite fully covered my side of the bargain. But in spite of that, the fact that we've got 27,000 entries on 95 boards, I'm very happy to see that. To be fair, a lot of these boards have no data at all on them. So all these 820, 2000 series ones. But yeah, it's a community contributed project, so it's to be expected that not everything is done. It's nice to see some iPhone stuff being done as well. That's good too. So very handy. Yeah. Ham call sign. Oh, cool. Okay. Put them on the bounty patch. Open data missing. Except I've got no money to put on the bounties anymore. The only money I can throw around of my own at the moment is for more board view releases. So, yeah, people are working on board view releases. I do still have a couple of thousand here and there for that. That's, like I said, it's out of my own pocket. It's not something that's been sponsored by the Futo group. It's just something that I myself have been doing. And part of that's because obviously I'm trying to keep Flex Board View relevant as well as Open Board View. Particularly now that Open Board View supports BVR3 format, which is what we've been releasing the boards as. I didn't do the BVR3 format implementation on Open Board View. That was done independently. Although I did point out to them, what things needed to be changed or whatever, or how to interpret the data. The BVR3 format is something that I created in-house. It is meant to be a very verbose non-optimized type of form. It's basically the COBOL of board view file formats. That's the simplest way I can describe it. It's the COBOL of board view file formats. It drives some people absolutely up the wall because it's like, you got all this redundant data everywhere, and it's like, I know, I do, but I wanted it to be very easy to manipulate. So there's downsides of it, because the fact that there is replicated data, it means if you change it in one place, you have to change it in all places, and that is a bit of a downside. The upside is that it's very easy for the humans to read it at a given point. So yeah. Alright then, well, another dud night really, other than fixing up the iPad. This here I'm definitely going to put into the ultrasonic cleaner, because I have a feeling it may be flux and junk that's actually inhibiting it from starting. I don't very often get to that conclusion, but I think in this case, if nothing else, it will give me a clear starting point. So, because at this point, I could go along and replace I could go and replace things like the ISL and whatnot, but I want to know that I'm working with a board that isn't being influenced by the flux. Flux on its own perhaps might not necessarily always cause this issue, but the fact that it has got a moderate amount of flux and it's been washed. It's the whole fact that it's been washed as well. So you get that water flux mix, water alcohol flux mix, and it can start doing things. So we'll eliminate that from the board, and then we'll have another shot at it. So that will be tomorrow. Unfortunately, it's getting a bit late here. It's time for me to, I don't know, go stuff my craw with some food, watch a couple of episodes of I don't know what. I'll probably continue on with watching Killing Eve. I'm in season 3 or whatever the latest season is. I finished with what is it? I finished with Justified last night. I mean, I've seen it before. I was watching it for just the joy of watching it again. Yeah. Anyway, I'm out of here. You take care, and I'll see you guys probably tomorrow. Catch you later.